Wow, what a perfect transition into this, the stream. How's it going? Happy Tuesday. Hey, Scotty. Thank you for subscribing with Prime. Appreciate you. Hey, Ran and Journey. Also, thank you, Scotty, for assuming the mantle of Raid Master. It's a great responsibility. Hey, Nix. Next, you've got your cat, your new cat, acclimating to its environment. That's very sweet. I know that's a long process, I'm sure. Arneo, you're tired again? Me too, again and again. I'm in this loop that I'm sure nobody here can relate to, where I'm like, I'm staying up too late to like catch up on work, but then I'm oversleeping. So then I'm staying up too late to catch up on work. Thanks for the hydrate, Nix. I got some coffee and some English muffins here, which is great. We're all tired. We're all staying up late. Nix, you just finished working? Nice, nice. Yeah, how's that transition back? All right, so what are we doing? We are doing some stuff. We gave up on our compute shader rendering approach. We've gone back to rendering with canvas item because the way that I'm preparing these renders, it really does benefit from just being submitted to a draw call for a canvas item, because it's happening kind of linearly in this kind of careful order. So it's not the best case for a massive parallelization, but I think some other stuff will be. We'll mess around with that a little bit. But what we're trying to do is lay the groundwork for being able to switch to rendering by compartment. Right now we're rendering by Z level, by Z layer. Everyone's favorite diagram, where we're rendering out, the orange tiles being each new layer, and that gives us that correct draw order. But I want to switch to rendering by compartment, so like each room, to some extent, we might need to do sub-compartment stuff. But I want the rooms to be the thing that's rendering, which is great because rooms are usually very active or not very active. And they either need to be seen or they don't need to be seen. While with our split Z thing, it's very possible that many of these Z layers interact with a scene that's like that a lot of changes are affecting. So we're kind of paying for that, and we don't need to, I don't think. It's definitely simpler, and it's what we're currently using. What we need to do is we need to move some stuff over so that we can get some of this data faster. Right now is kind of what I'm working on. We're working on cutaways. We're working on like occlusion stuff. I'm like in the middle of a refactor, which is a great way to start the week. I'm like, what's this error for? Oh yeah, here's the big thing that I'm doing. The best diagram. I do like my diagrams. I spend time on those. Yeah, everyone's staying up late. I feel that. Yeah, so what we've done, what I did before is we had this block tags thing where I would put all of the, I call them tags, but they're really just flags. I put them all together in a single structure because like, why not? But that's causing a lot of complexity with our read-write dependencies because it means, well, it's a lot harder to figure out who's writing to what flag when. Hey, Nanigans. Nanigans. A winding hallway that goes between all rooms would be an interesting, complex case to handle using the implementation. Yeah, it would probably be non-ideal, but I think it has some good opportunities for us. Well, we'd split a compartment by doors, so it's unlikely that your winding hallway... I guess it's possible you could have like a donut-shaped hallway or some kind of crazy hallway, and there are no doors separating the hallways. That is bad design for a spaceship. So we do want to check that case, but what we'll probably do is we'll have sub-compartments, which are just like compartment areas that we can constrain to be like a rectangle. And that solves a number of things. One, that solves our limit to having 64 rooms, because then we can say like a proper compartment is sealed off. You can have 64 compartments. But then what we could also say is you could have 64 sub-compartments or something like that. So you could have, so something like that would be treated as a single compartment, but we'd have all these sub-compartments to handle the like rendering complexity of like ordering them correctly. It could be annoying, but it could also be kind of good. I think it's worth a shot. Hey, Magoo, what's up? What's up with you? Nothing wrong with space donuts? I concur. You're gonna make your ship a maze that'll confound enemy boarding actions. Yeah, that's the interesting thing, is like the editor is very forward. Like, we've spent a lot of time on the editor. And like, obviously modders will be able to make ships, but I still don't know how much we're like gonna be exposing that to the average player. They'll probably be more used to seeing like a low, like a very constrained version of it, which we'll probably use in Lo-Fi Flyby, which is like almost like a furniture rearranging, like subset of the tools. I don't mind the idea of players being able to make their own ship. I just feel like there's going to need to be like tests of like, does it work? But maybe not. Maybe we don't care. It's a single player game. So maybe we just say custom ships don't qualify for like achievements or something like that. Which we'd probably want to do for mods too. Otherwise you'd just have mod achievement farming, which I don't care about, honestly, but it's a single player game. It's one of those things where it's like, if someone ends up making something that's broken, that's kind of like to be celebrated, not to be, you know, despised. All right, so we have to figure out how what this post block tags world is going to be. I'm generally switching from, we've got a 3D buffer, which is like a 3D spatial buffer, which has all of the block tags for the coordinate, for a given coordinate. So it's got all of the like different flags, which is nice if you're comparing multiple flags together. But I'm thinking about switching to a buffer 2D of a bit field for a number of reasons. One, it makes the read-write dependencies a lot more clear. Two, that means that for a bit field 64, like for a 64 by 64 by 64 bit mask, essentially, that fits into a 16 kilobyte little chunk, which is nice, potentially, if we do start offloading some of the like more volumetric calculations to the GPU, which is where it would, that is where it would thrive. That would also be nice, because if it's 64 kilobytes, it can be a uniform. It doesn't need to be an SSBO. It could be a UBO, I think. Gotta catch them all. UBO. Nix, like if you could have a hyperspeed elevator in the middle of a circular room, that would be a donut hallway. That would be something. That would be something. Have you seen the turbo lift inside of like the Discovery, the old version of the Discovery from like season 1, season 2? It's crazy. They like show it like whizzing around the inside of the ship. Like it's not in a tube system at all. It's just like a little capsule you get into, and then it brings you somewhere else through like all this crazy interstitial material in the ship. They do that really early, and I found that really striking. I think Oscar Isaac's character like brought Michael Burnham through the ship early on at one point, and I was like, whoa, that's an interesting envisioning of like a turbo lift. It's kind of how a turbo lift would need to work if you think about it for any amount of time. In any situation that's not just like I'm taking the elevator up and down. All right, where are most of the errors? So there's one error up here. But most of the errors are down here. The thing I tried to do over the weekend and like last night and stuff is I was like, well, what if instead of having like a buffer 2D of this bit field that represents like the Z-axis, what if instead I make this cool like bit mask 3D that's like a wrapper for a buffer 2D? And I was like, oh, I don't care. I spent a lot of time on it. And then I just deleted it because I was like, this is dumb. And it's causing me to create all these weird dependencies. And I was like, I didn't want to do it. We're just going to acknowledge. Right here, it's even hard-coded that we're using a bit field 64. So like we're going to need to change that too. Because eventually, I would like to be able to shrink that down to like a 32 by 32 for a small ship. If maybe it shrinks down to like half size if it doesn't need it or something. That could be really great for like lo-fi flyby, potentially. Because that we want to have like a very low performance profile. And again, you're getting bogged back down into UV math again, always. Thought you were past it, then you started adding in logic to handle voxels at a different scale than textures for optimization purposes. When you want to draw large, simple shapes, that is broken all kinds of mapping again. Oh no. All right, so what I did is I substituted in the block hulls here, and I wrote a new function that goes through the volume with the Z iteration in the tightest loop, because that's what we want. Because then it's likely that we'll be able to just read the next value. Or it's more likely that we'll be able to just read the next value, even though we have to check the adjacent values, which is not ideal. Hey, Sapphire. Working on paying, getting keys for the house today? Yeah, happy house day. I'm gonna eat this English muffin. I apologize for anyone who is like absolutely horrified by someone eating on television. I'm thinking about even... No, you heard my coffee slurps? I thought I muted. Dang it. I don't know if you're trolling me, Scotty. But if you are, it worked. I'm thinking about making the compartments entities. Because if the compartments are the thing that we care about, and the entities kind of exist in the compartment, or there's a lot of stuff to do with the compartment, like tiles. Like there'll be a lot of tiles associated with compartments, which aren't associated with blocks, because blocks could have any number of tiles that are active or inactive depending on the rotation of the camera and all sorts of stuff. Cutaway, whatever. Thinking about making the tiles more like entities that are processed in whatever order. Like we don't care about the order, because we kind of don't. We can kind of process all of the tiles that need to be rendered kind of just in whatever order, because we sort them at the end. So I don't know. I'm thinking about it. It'll definitely be the case where like crew members are entities. The only thing that's not really an entity is like the block itself, because it's just this spatial piece of data. But stuff that's more, I don't know what the right word to put it. I don't know. We'll try some stuff. This is the old way. Rhiannon, you're so glad I'm streaming today. All your normal streamers have been off the last couple of days. It was a holiday weekend, to be fair. Well, in the States here. Happy birthday, George Washington or whatever. So this is how we used to do it. We would go, Z level was in the outer loop, and then we would start and end inside of the buffer at those points. Instead of doing that, we are going to work through like this. Because the real question we ask here, now that this is just a single thing, we ask if the block halls, if you get the block hall at this XY, does it have this Z? We don't, we continue. Otherwise, we do this. We set the actual, and this is setting a member variable, which is really rough, but I think I'm okay with it for now, while we're only trying to render one thing. We need to get a relative position, I guess, which I haven't really been thinking about. Camera rotation has been broken for so long that I haven't thought about absolute and camera and relative positions. Next, you're close to finally finishing everything for your mod. You're downloading mods that people said are broken in the live version, like for compatibility. Nice. Yeah, I wouldn't want to have to manage compatibility of like other people's mods with my mod. That sounds like, that's like the nightmare of software dependency. Like all these people that you have no control over doing their own thing. It's chaos. This doesn't feel like the right song for this radio. At least it's over. The song was just called A Warm Hug. That's nice. Oh yeah, and this is gonna be a shorter stream. We're gonna end in like around 2 o'clock my time. Only like a 2-hour stream, not a 3-hour stream like I normally try to do. I have a meeting, and I got a late start. It's like I said, I overslept because I stayed up too late the night before. Is this not maximized? There we go. Next, you had to spend a few sleepless nights to make your mod able to deal with the broken mods. So far, they're almost all working. Oh, that's good. All right, so there is no hall type, and block halls does not have a bounding box, so that's interesting. Oh, can I just use the game board? That'll kind of work. That won't work forever, but I can do it. It's almost just to remind me that I have to do this. Oh, actually, is this a static function? Oh, neat. No, it's not static. I didn't think so. So we'll say game.board. The game board should know that. That should work until I start doing weird off-centered builds. So here what we ask. So we already know this. So why are we getting or defaulting the actual types itself? Oh, because we're checking our neighbors, right? What does get return if it's out of bounds? Oh, it like hard fails. Okay. That's fine. That's why we have get or default. Hope everyone had a good weekend. I was working yesterday. Which is not great. Get or default for vector 2. Oh. Duh. Oh, wait. How do I know? I need to hold on to this coordinate. Actually, the Z, if this is 2D and the camera's always angled like this, then even if we have a 90-degree camera rotations, the Z coordinate will never change. Right? Because we're never like looking up from below. We're always looking down from above at the same angle. We're just maybe doing like 90-degree rotations. That would never change the Z coordinate, would it? I question that. Vector 3i, relative with x, relative times center, relative y, relative x. Yeah. I think this only transforms the x and the y. Sick. Okay. And this is fine, actually. I shouldn't even have a... Well, I don't know. Maybe I should have a vector 3 version of this. It kind of just is a pass-through for the Z coordinate. Nix, you were also working yesterday and today as well. You didn't have a long weekend there? Yeah. Not everyone got the long weekend. But to those of you that did, I hope it was wonderful. Our time will come. I'm actually going on vacation this weekend, this upcoming weekend. It is going to be great. There will be no stream Saturday. I will be out of town. It is going to be good. Because we are very fast approaching the busy time of the year so far, which is like early March. Because we've got our first game jam, March 6th through 9th. And then GDC is March 9th through 13th. So that is going to be quite a week. It's going to be quite a week. And that is coming up. That is coming up fast. Arnio, you're not sure what food to make? Once again, it's way too late to be eating dinner, yet you're hungry. That is the conundrum so often. All right. I forgot that we read multiple tags out of here. We read the hull, We also read whether is a room value associated. So do I want to... I don't want to send the whole block rooms. Buffer, because that's like enormous. What I want is a block buffer, a block room buffer that is just a buffer 2D. We will deal with the naming problems of having two of those later. We have a block rooms buffer 3D, which is a list of all the rooms that a block belongs to. But I just want to see... I just want another buffer that's like whether the block is inside or not. Like inside any compartment. I can probably use a different word. I mean, inside would be fine. Blocks inside. I don't think there's like a shorter way to express that. Oh, Nix, you were productive. You made mac and cheese yesterday, bean soup today. You're making dal tomorrow. Got all of the ingredients already. Yeah, that's awesome. I'm not doing any cooking this week because I'm going on vacation, and I'm going to spend the time this week cleaning my place. And part of the ability to do that is going to be not cooking anything this weekend or this week. So like yesterday was burritos. Tonight, I don't know what tonight's going to be. Sunday was burgers. So we've already gone through burrito and burgers. I don't know what tonight's going to be. Maybe pizza? I don't know. It's going to be one of those weeks. Yeah, having a block rooms buffer 3D and a block room buffer 2D would be too confusing. So let's instead say, let's make a block inside buffer. 2D. I don't like the way I'm doing this. This doesn't work anymore. Yeah, how is this going to work, actually? Get coords. Oh, this get used bounds thing doesn't totally work right now. This is one of the things where I was like, I want a buffer 2D, but I want it to like be interactable, like it's a 3D buffer, even though it's only a 2D buffer. And that would have been the nice thing about making a bitmask like version of the buffer, where I could talk to it like it's a 3D volume, like a volumetric bitmask. But I've kind of been cheating. So you know what? We'll continue to cheat. I don't like doing it this way. So why are we doing it here? Minimum, maximum. Oh, because the minimum and the maximum might not be... There's many flaws to the way I'm currently doing this. But we're going to say, let's not worry about that right now. We're turning a rect. Okay, so that's fine. So, has any... Oh, I guess this is weirdly okay. I'm not going to change this. I realize we're returning a rect, so we don't actually... We're not looking at... We're not even looking at the values in the buffer. Really, not the individual ones. So we're not actually concerned with the third dimension for that function. So I'm going to ignore that. What we're going to do is we're going to copy this part over to our new buffer. Oh my lord. Nick's just dropping food wisdom in the chat here. Oh, I should have probably copied this part. Read-only record struct that takes a rect and is an iBuffer 2D component of a bit field 64. Oh my god. Sometimes I'm fighting the editor so much just to do the thing I want to do. Is that it? Probably need to make this component type. No, you should not read recipes when you're hungry, Arneo. Oh, you know what doesn't work with inside is pluralizing. That is weird. Maybe I do just send in the room buffer. The whole room buffer, and I just don't care at the moment. No, let's do it. Let's try to do it the right way. I don't like the name block inside buffer though. No, let's do the any. Forget it. We already have this buffer. Well, let's use it. I think I'll leave. Maybe I'll leave something in here just in place, just so when I change my mind, I've got something in the component list. But I think we're already... Are we using this for anything else? Cutaways, hull types... For 2D read write. So you need the hulls and you need this other thing. I could say seal, block seal. That's silly, but it would work. Because all I'm really asking is if this block is part of a sealed area. Now, would that change definition later if I actually handle that part? Like losing depressurization, is that where I would change that value? Does that matter? No, because this check we're doing here is an edit time check. So we could actually maybe even repurpose that buffer later, which is pretty neat. So let's do that. Why not? Who's gonna stop me? There's pieces of hull that could be outside of a ship. So these are different things. Right. OBS will stop you. The encoder will crash again for reasons unknown. Yeah, hopefully as long as I don't mess with the main rendering device, that won't happen. Any further compute shader stuff we do for the next foreseeable amount of time is going to be done using a local rendering device. And we're going to be careful. Because, yeah, I don't want to do that. I don't want to deal with that again. Okay, so now we have a buffer 2D, another read-only. Field 64. This one's block seals. So this tells us whether a block is either in or part of a seal, which is a prerequisite for being part of a room at construction time. At runtime, it might mean something different, but at edit time, that's what it means.
All right, let's bring that beat back.
This coffee is so good. I'm always torn between having breakfast late and early. When I have late breakfast, I at least have coffee for the stream, which is lovely. All right, so we're not storing the tags here. What we can say is bool. We can say x. Neighbor. Do we actually, am I asking if it's, oh, I need both. You could say X hall. You could say block halls, getter default, game board, view absolute, right. So relative position. Okay, I understand what I'm doing here. Relative position plus X. Can I just do this and say Z? What do I say? With? Z equals Z? Where's the problem? Oh, because you don't want to coordinate. You don't. Okay. You want a vector too. And in fact, this is where we start to run into annoying things. So this is where I want to say get xy dot has z. Here I also want to say get. Let's just do the same thing. Who cares? We should try to get the coordinates in the right space though. What if we just said variable x position Hey Jacob, how's it going? Happy Tuesday. Everyone's tired and hungry, aren't you? I'm tired. I'm not hungry, I just had breakfast. Shenanigans. You remember when StarCraft 2 first came out? It was burning out some high-end graphics cards on their title screen. Because it was a somewhat simple 3D scene with no frame cap or upper bounds on how lighting was rendered, so some GPUs were completely maxing out. I heard that was happening on, like, something else. Not StarCraft 2. I heard that happened, I don't know if it was, like, Cyberpunk or something, but that has happened more recently than 2010. I don't remember what it was, but it was some big tentpole game that was like frying people's. Maybe even it was Arc Raiders. I don't think so though. Some big tentpole game semi-recently. Watch it be like years ago. It could have been Cyberpunk. I don't know. Game.board.view absolute relative position plus vector 3i.x. X. Okay. How's rendering going? It's okay. We're not really working on the rendering. We've gone back to doing a canvas item rendering, which is fine. We're working on some other stuff around it. We're working on our compartmentalization stuff. Technically, I'm fixing rendering at the moment, but we're working on some stuff to get us rendering per compartment, because I think that's where the savings are to be made. Excuse me. All right, bool, xhaul, blocks, blockholes.get. We just say xcoords.xy, right? Say x neighbor. Actually, we could just keep reassigning this, couldn't we? Yeah. We'll say Excel, because Excel is funny. Nice, like bulk render stuff. I mean, Godot does that kind of for you. The thing about custom draw calls to a canvas item is it like you tell it, you're like, here's the texture I want to render. Here's where I want to render it on the canvas item. Here's the region of the texture I want to render. And then Godot takes all that information and does all of the batch rendering for you. So it's pretty nice for us. Because we're building our render list really linearly, it's kind of working out better for us. So I think our task is to like reduce the amount of that we need to do by smartly looking at like what are the compartments that need to be rendered and trying to isolate changes to a given compartment rather than what we're doing right now, which is like very likely to get sliced up and involve a lot more work. But how are you doing? How's dev? I hope you don't see, because I'm doing a terrible job explaining it. If you see, I've gotten it wrong. What are we doing? So we're saying xl.xy.has. I should be able to just say blockholes.has and then I shouldn't need to do this, but this is like part of the inefficiency of not making a separate bit mask structure that we can just query more intuitively. We're kind of abusing the buffer 2D read-only by embedding the third dimension in the value of in the bit field value. But you know, we're just gonna, this is gonna be what we do right now. So we want to store the xhaul. We also want to store the... Actually, do we want to store this at all? Can I just ask these questions once? Like this. And then here we can just say not block holes, block seals dot get xl dot xy dot has xcell.z. All right. So far, this should be okay for us. This is the sort of thing I think we could put in a little compute shader and it would run very quickly for us. So we could pass these two in as UBOs because they're only 16 KB. Jacob, no, you think you get it, like updating compartments instead of the whole thing. Yeah, right now we're sorting it by Z layer to the camera. So it's, yeah, like one compartment might get spread across a bunch of different Z layers, and it's causing us to update a bunch of layers. More so than I think if we were just going by compartment. But also, the edit case is like the worst possible use case for this renderer because it's the case in which most of the time we have changes. Because we're like building and destroying and building. So I'm going to expect edit time performance to be kind of an issue for us. Kind of no matter what. Which is okay, because most people shouldn't need to engage with it. And it won't be in like lo-fi flyby, probably. At least at first. Jacob, you're doing good. You got a bunch of feedback regarding onboarding with your games, so trying to improve readability, clarity. You're going to do an actual tutorial, unlike V1 tutorial. That was gutted. Nice. XLZ. We also excel in the other two dimensions as well. Oh, we will. We will. Looking forward to reading up the PhD thesis when you perfect your algorithm. Well, we don't use algorithms here. We're never convinced that we're going to reach a solution. I honestly don't need to redeclare this every time, but I'm going to. So I don't care, and the compiler will know better. I like the flexibility of this, but it is annoying to have to maintain all these different buffers. I wonder if I just have buffers be like a... Oh no. I'm still uncomfortable with the number of buffer components we have to regular components, but maybe if we do start handling the tileable things as like some kind of entity, maybe we'll have more regular components. We'll see. Everything has just been so efficient to be storing spatially. Oh my glob. Hide the code. Raid alert. Starlight Lacuna. How's it going? Happy Tuesday. Hold on. Yeah, let me turn off the alarm. Welcome in, Spider Queen, Haru Dev, Stargate Blue, Riot Pepper. How's it going, y'all? How was the stream? What have you been up to? We're fixing some broken stuff we got going on here. You know. We're breaking stuff so we can fix some stuff, so we can break some other stuff. And we call that progress. What have you been up to? Hey, Corolla. Welcome in. How's it going? Stream was good. You did some low energy game architecture planning. I love that. That is totally the sort of thing I should have tried doing today, because I am tired and unfocused, and you know what's a great time to do programming is under those circumstances. I should have just opened up Obsidian and started doing some diagramming. That would have been way nicer. I hope the planning is going well. We gotta run, no worries. Thank you for the raid. Let me give you that shout out here. One sec. You needed to rework some systems. The planning was very, very needed. I can believe it. I also do my systems planning retroactively. I'm like, let me develop my architecture after I built the thing. Now that I have problems, I need to re-architect it. Corolla, you've been making map transitions happen and fixing the bits where it explodes. Ah, it does explode. Sorry you raided right into an ad here, or nearly. We're heading into ads in about 30 seconds. All right. We're trying to rewrite some render prep stuff to make it a little more lightweight and a little more parallelizable, so we can maybe shove it down to the compute shader or something. Because there's plenty of stuff that we're doing where I'm happy to have it run on a background thread until it's done. But all this stuff that the rendering system waits on needs to be done like immediately. So we're working on stuff to make that happen. We didn't have a lot of success trying to do the actual rendering with compute shaders, but we're going to try to do some prep. So I'm splitting everything into really small like bit masks. Really clear read-write dependencies so we can have everything ready just in time. Get the data we need, ideally just in time. Jumping into coding is so tempting, I know. But yeah, the planning can be so useful. I've gotten into diagramming, like, a lot. Even if it's just an A-sprite. Like, I love, if I'm planning a refactor or something, I try to diagram it out. Because one, it usually catches something I didn't think about. And two, it makes explaining to chat what I'm doing way easier. All right, is this fixed now? Are you happy with this? No way. There's gonna be something somewhere else. Oh yeah, there's way up here. There's some other knock-on. So this can take the block halls, and we also need the block seals. I don't know if we need the cutaways yet. Probably do. Yeah, we got a Lacuna raid. When is Dave gonna do a yo-yo stream? Is that... Do you do that? Starlight, are you just like yo-yoing at your desk? Just like doing like... I would smash my camera the first time I tried to yo-yo, do some kind of yo-yo trick. Alright, so set block haul types is fine. That's great. Add canvas item draws. This needs some help. So we have the block cuts. That's just what I'm going to call that. I'm honestly tempted to... No, let's just use it like that. So block cuts. And then we need the tags. So if we didn't have the tags, what would we need? Get canvas item draw params, block tags X. Okay, what do you need? What do you need to know? You need to know about the cutaway. You probably need to know about the haul types. Yesterday you did an entire yo-yo stream. It was fun. Oh, that sounds fun. That's wild. I was never any good at the yo-yo. My dad was. I mean, I say was. My dad is not. My dad is still around. I just don't think he yo-yos anymore. I just got the wrong yo-yo. I've tried some different yo-yos. I've seen the basic ones, the trick ones. What up, Pheasant? SC2. Can confirm yo-yo stream was real. It was as awesome as it sounds. It sounds pretty awesome. All right, we're coming back from ads. Get ready. Get ready to be back. All right, so all of these take the block tags. And how much of this info do you actually use? You use the cutaway. You also try to get, well, the hull values, the tile hulls are all here. So what are you actually doing? You're just looking for the cutaways, yeah? That's all you need to know about, I think. Let's try that. Let's see if that's the case. I think this is all this function needs. The ones that light up, that would help. So I could find it when I fling it off into the darkness. Spider Queen, she pulled a Princess Bride on you. It was awesome. Oh, nice. You got Starlight, you got a lurk to cook dinner. It'd be wonderful for us to stream. Yeah, thank you for the raid. Have a good dinner. We'll probably go for a little less than an hour here, and then we're going to raid out. Keep the raid train going. I have to do a short stream today. But we got like an hour left. And then Scotty's going to have to direct the raid. I have a feeling... Well, actually, I don't know where Scotty's going to send us. If it was Magoo, I feel like I would know. But in this case, it feels like a bit of a mystery. Okay. Pass this down. Hope that this is all you need. What is this? Bit field 64. Buffer 2D read only. Okay, so we don't do this at all. This is not helpful. Okay, so these are going to be stored in absolute coordinates, but the tiles are being stored in relative coordinates. So that's going to be a problem. Hey, Mamir Bites, how's it going? CA2 doesn't seem to be online. I know, right? CA2 software is always online, I thought. Hey, Bullion, how's it going? How are you doing? Okay, so what do we want to know here? We want to know whether this is being cut away at all. That's easy. So it's block cuts. Oh, do I not need to call the get? I can just index in. That's nice. Why am I not doing it that way? Maximum warp, no jewel. How's it going? Everyone's getting excited for GodotCon Amsterdam. Are you going, no jewel? I think I've asked you that before. I'm just excited. I need to live vicariously through someone. I don't think I can afford a European vacation right now. Yeah, you even submitted a talk? Hell yes. Ship it. Alright, so this is gonna be... I need to double check these tile coordinates. I could have sworn we're giving them camera relative coordinates, which is gonna break almost immediately. They're almost certainly camera relative coordinates. I just need to remember where we do this. We do it here, don't we? Deet, deet, deet. Vector 3i, relative position. Oh yeah, we were just working in this code. Tile hulls. New vector 4i, relative position. Right. No, Joel, the talk you're going to give, it's titled Procedural Pixel Art, Retro VFX with Shaders. Yeah. Yeah, show off all that shader effects you've been working on, all that pixel art stuff. That's great. That'll be great. Still holding out hope for my North American GodotCon at some point this year. You're not sure if you'll get accepted though. I would not be surprised. I feel like people tend to underestimate themselves when submitting talks. I know someone who has never paid for a GDC pass. They just submit talks every year. And about half of their talks get accepted, so they just submit like 2 talks every year. And they always get a comped pass at some point. I feel like you just gotta train. You gotta train up on your talk pitches. I think you're gonna get in. Your stuff is so cool. And I think it's exactly the kind of stuff people want to see at a Godot con. Something neat and cool and practical that someone's actually made, and that you can then go use and learn from. All right, so this is all being done in relative camera position. So we got to do the same thing over here then. Man, I have way too many tabs open. I'm really good about this on Chrome. I like never have more than like a handful of tabs open in any Chrome window, but I am really bad at managing that same degree in my IDE. All right. So relative coordinates. So we're going to use relative coordinates to do this. And that means anytime we interface with one of these bit masks, we actually have to get the right coordinate system. Because these are going to be stored in absolute coordinates.
Maximum warp.
Hey, thanks for the hydrate, Mimir. And the maximum warp. Yeah, I'm sure your talk will get recorded as well.
He's dead, Jim.
Not Jim. All right. So block cuts. Hull key.xy.has. So we need, what we need here is we need some kind of let me just say variable relative position equals. Actually, no, I want to get the absolute position. Say game.board.view absolute. I'll keep. This is actually really not great. What do we have to do it this way? Can we do all of this in rendering in like the camera relative position? Because that's what... There's some systems here that are going to want to ask these questions, and I would like them to be... Where is that? Was it down here? Way down here. Yeah, so like if we can put this down in like a compute shader, we really don't want to have to do all of that. We can't do all of this coordinating. Nanigans, you're the opposite. You have a bajillion tabs open across a few instances in your web browser. But in your code editor, you currently have 3 files open in a diff that you're actively using, and that's it. You leave tabs open in your browser because you'll come back to them later. In your code editor, you just hit Control-P and start typing the file name. Oh, that's funny. You figure out the issue with the compute shader and the streaming? Yeah, it was rough. There was like this crazy utilization that was being caused by... I think it was just... The rendering workload that we were trying to fit onto the GPU was just not a good fit. There is a way of doing that work that would be a good fit, but yeah, it was just not... It was not able to provide the rendering results in time, and it turns out it will eventually use the encoder cores if you reach a high enough utilization level on a CPU, on a GPU. It will just be like, these encoder cores are mine now. So we've stopped rendering with a compute shader for the moment. We are thinking about how to prepare a bunch of other calculations to be used in a compute shader instead. Just because we do still want to pursue this goal of like, right now our GPU is like down here and our CPU is like doing everything. We do want to equalize that to an extent. It just is ironic that the rendering was not easy. But some of this stuff is very volumetric and is very parallelizable and is nice, and we could do it that way. I'm just thinking about the space in which we store it. So these are stored in absolute terms. This whole calculation occurs in relative coordinates. I guess it's not that big a deal to just offset the, because it never changes the Z lookup. So we always get, so that won't change. Whatever, we'll do it right now. Actually, you know what we could do? We could totally ignore it right now because the camera rotation's broken anyway, but I want to think about it. Auto-tiled coordinate function, what do you need? You need these tags. What are you going to use the tags for? I think it's just cutaway information, which we could provide you another way. Yeah, this is also all in. Well, this would have broken anyway because block tags is also in absolute coordinates. And again, just need to be careful you're not spending more time on the CPU communicating back and forth with the GPU than it would be to just compute it on the CPU in the service place. That is a thing to be concerned about. I don't think we're going to hit that. But yeah, we are doing things to try to make that as easy as possible. Like having our bit fields fit into a 16 kilobyte UBO. That would be good. Or our bit masks. And we have that. That's a great start. Because that'll be a lot faster to change and get back compared to an SSBO. A structured storage buffer object, as they're called. Yeah, that's a concern. The thing I need to think about, or the thing that's interesting to me is how like my monitor is 144 hertz or whatever, right? So I run a ton of rendering threads. I run way more rendering frames than I do a physics step. If I was at 60 hertz or whatever, it'd be totally different. And I'm interested to see how that affects things. Although I don't think yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, if I want the data to be ready in time for the next physics step, I'll probably run it from the physics step so we won't notice. Just pass all your data as human readable strings for everything and then base64 encode it. There you go. There you go. No, Joel, you spent yesterday the whole day reworking some shaders so it runs better on more and older devices. So many pitfalls when it comes to web exports. I could not. I would not be able to do that. Because we were trying to do a pretty complicated thing, which is like we wanted to support an arbitrary number of input textures, like textures that we would sample from in this compute shader. And like that's kind of hard to do under normal circumstances, but like thank Godot for Vulkan. Because Vulkan doesn't, like, Metal supports like something like 64 textures or something like that for like a shader stage or something. I don't remember what it was, but it was some constraint that I was like, this is unacceptable. And then Vulkan was like, you can have 1 million. You just need to turn on all this extension stuff. And I'm like, yeah. We're not actually going to end up using that, but that was nice. And yeah, I would hate having to work around that. But yeah, Vulkan is cool. I got to read a bit more about Vulkan trying to make this stuff work, and I have a lot of respect for what Vulkan is doing. And I have more respect for Godot because I don't even have to deal with it directly. I just get to call rendering device. All right, so block tags isn't a thing. It's block cuts now. And you're a buffer 2D read only of bitfield 64. I'll put you into all of these, huh? No, Joel, but your demo runs so smooth now on your old phone, so it was worth it. Yeah, that's pretty cool when you can achieve that with a shader. Right, are you happy now? Okay, that function doesn't work. So we really just only use you for this case, this exact case. Crazy, okay. Just this one only case we have to carry this everywhere. Man, maybe it's worth separating the Z face out or something if that's true. Oh yeah, man, this is all. How am I gonna do that? I guess there's only a few lookups, so maybe we can do something like maybe we can do something like, so we gotta access this block cut, so we gotta access it using an absolute coordinate. So we gotta say something like, we have to declare the absolute. Well, maybe we don't. I'm not going to think about that right now. I've decided. There's plenty of stuff that's going to need to change to support that. And I'm not going to do it now. Otherwise, we'll just be on endless tangents and nothing will ever run ever again. And I cannot afford that, like, psychically. I can't afford that psychic damage at level 2. Alright, I guess I'll actually use the renaming tool. Oh, we're checking neighbors. Oh man, I'm so dumb. Go back. We have to go back. I just deleted all of that whole thing. I didn't try to convert it at all. XY minus vector 2i dot x plus. Oh. We're not going to do that because that doesn't make any sense. So we'll have all type, all key dot z plus 1. That's how that's going to be. I really do want some kind of bit mask, like a 3D bit mask struct that I can just talk to without knowing the size of the component, like the part of it. Like I could just be like, here's this bit mask 3D. Let me ask questions about its volume without knowing how it's constructed. I would love that. We're gonna need that eventually if we have resizable. Like if we're able to trim this down even further, which I'm not gonna do at first because I don't know if I care, but it would be cool to be able to support more things and some smaller constructions. Because not everything is gonna need all that space. It's kind of a waste when not used. Okay, so we fixed that back. Now what do we got? Okay, so I decided I'm going to ignore this absolute position thing for now. Fully knowing that this will just not work if I try to rotate the camera. Oh, well, rotating the camera is going to be this whole to-do. I don't know what we're going to do for that. Well, insofar as it will completely reset the entire rendering scenario. Like, everything will have to be redrawn. All at once, which is like the situation we're trying to avoid. You could say, well, Dave, just make it so the player can't turn the camera. And it's like, well, the real problem is that the ship can rotate 90 degrees. Whether it's the camera doing it or the ship doing it, it's like... And you could be like, well, just take that ability away. And it's like, I could do that. I could do that and my life would be easier. I don't want to. But it would make everything easier. Got a concert I'm going to tomorrow. I'm very excited. I don't usually go to live music very often, but a performer I really admire is coming into the city here. There was like a dungeon synth kind of artist that came by a little local venue, and I missed him, and I walked by at night and I could hear them playing, and I'm like, oh man, that would have been so cool, but I would have just fallen asleep. It was like it was this very heavy, like very droning, like dungeon synth kind of thing. And it's like, man, that would have been great to fall asleep to. Did I do this right? Or did I just totally blow this? Yeah, I did. Okay, that's that taken care of. Manigans, you could potentially pre-render the immediate left and right rotation in the background so that you can just swap them when somebody interacts. Trade-off is significantly more GPU memory. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know where the bigger cost is going to be, though. Is in the redraw or, like, preparing everything for the redraw. So what I might do is I might cache, like I might cache some of the information about it and then just eat the redraw. Because if we have it set compartmentally, then even if you do technically need to quote unquote redraw everything, we could still put most of that work off if like you could only see like part of the ship. Like if you're only looking at like a couple of rooms, then maybe it's not that bad. We're really gonna, our isometric perspective, I viewed it as like a cursed problem for a lot of ways just because of how it obscured everything and how hard it is to see further into the ship. But I think it's actually kind of a blessing in disguise because it's really a good opportunity for like occlusion calling and stuff. Riot Pepper, you miss living in a city that has this live music. Oh yeah, I've been living in San Francisco for a long time. We're getting up to 2 decades. And yeah, I love being in a walkable city. I love being able to walk around, get food, do whatever, not need a car. Beautiful. I would like to be out in the middle of nowhere and never interact with a human being ever again, but it'd be expensive too, in its own way. Nix, your mod works great. That's great. Super easy to mod your mod. We heard you liked modding, so we put a mod on your mod so you could mod while you mod. It's pretty good. You used to live in Denver. Now you live in a small town, Missouri. I could see that being a pretty big difference. Manigans, you could just patch in anything that needs to be changed if needed once you rotate. Yeah, we could try. We'll have to try, see what the worst case scenarios are for this stuff, but yeah, I think we can hide enough stuff that we can delay and either we cache or like recalculate stuff over time. We'll have to see. You could add a subtle tween animation if needed to give yourself a couple extra frames to compute stuff. Yeah. We'll have to see. We'll have to see how that's going to work. All right, I would love to be able to like get back to drawing stuff. I would love if everything drew correctly. If nothing else, by the end of this stream. Man, I broke so many things trying to do my little bit mask stuff. It's been raining a bunch here last few days. It seems like it's gonna continue to do so. I love it so much. I love the rain and the gray and the cold. I love to be inside waving at it. I love weather. I love weather on the other side of the glass. All right, here's another cutaway. This time we're subtracting 1 from Z. So let me do this backwards so I don't forget this. So I will. -1. And then here we're doing a plus X. Okay. I wonder if we're going to have... This is neighbor checks, huh? So these are actually not safe, are they? This should probably be like a get or default situation. I'm realizing. Because we're just adding and removing components. Tempted to rename this like safe get or something like that. Fail proof get. Get or default is okay, I guess. Yeah, I need to switch all of these to get or default. Although this is also not safe. What happens if this is... Is this a safe activity? Yeah, because we're just doing a bitwise operator and then we're like shifting this number off into oblivion. And it will just always be false. So that seems safe. Okay. Okay, I need to go back and fix these other ones then. These raw indexers here cause me pain. Why does it say tags? Oh, because I never renamed it. Why do I think this is going to work? Oh, I haven't gotten to this one yet. Oh, these are the corner pieces. All right, I think we're getting close here. Okay, it's not even used in this function. That's great. Minus vector 3i dot 1 plus vector 3i dot y. Oh, xz plus xz. Ah, I see. So it's minus vector 2i dot x plus vector 2i dot y. Here I need to say whole key dot z plus 1. Okay. Okay, why are you unhappy with me? Oh, because that's a 3. Some of this corner stuff is wrong. It's leading to weird behavior that I normally don't notice, but because the function takes so long to prepare, I can, like, it gives me a few seconds to, like, see what's happening. So plus z. I need to think about that too. I don't want to, though. I feel like I have enough things to think about. This was -1. Oh no, was it +1? Man. Not paying enough attention to what's happening. Yeah, plus Z. It's right there. This is also plus Z. Alright, is that it? Is it fixed? I doubt it. I seriously doubt it. For one thing, is there anyone populating any of these? Probably not. In theory, we're running this. I don't think we actually are, though. Yeah, run. Nobody's calling this. Okay. And what about the other one? That would be... this system? You're just controlling block tags. Oh, this is going to be annoying. been a quiet, humble stream of fixing things. Quiet refactor. So what I need to do then is I need to go to the system group and actually recreate this. So we're not going to store this big tags buffer anymore. I might go back to that for some things, but for right now, we got a cutaway buffer, buffer, a rooms buffer. We need is a seal buffer. Block.space.size.xy. Oh, I have to make this a new rectangle, right? Annoying. Hey, Scotty. Stop having fun coding us for nerds. Yeah. Hey, Fishy, Alt Fishy. How's it going? We're getting close to raid time, Scotty. Who are we raiding? We're raiding probably in about 10 minutes or less here. The responsibility falls to you. Let me look. Yeah, go for it. Again, sorry for the short stream today. I have a meeting right at 2. I have a meeting at 2 on Tuesdays, and bit of an issue. I'll be working on this tonight, though. I got another co-working event tonight, so I'll be working on it tonight. I will try not to stay up too late, but I will try to get us back into a bit of a better spot. I think we're getting there. I think I'm like not far away from being back to where we were. Errand? All right. I never know how to say his name. Errand? Errand? I think it's Errand. I think if it wasn't Errand, it would be spelled differently. But yeah, I know them. They're on my stream team. It's Aaron? Okay, yeah, cool. Or are you just messing with me? We'll have to ask. Stream team, go indie game dev stream team. I know I don't do enough stuff with those people, but they are all good people. All right, so I just changed. So there is no more block tags buffer on any of this anymore, which is interesting. What's this cutaway rooms buffer? It's an empty buffer. Alright, so the sync. We don't sync a lot. Here we sync the tags, which we should not do because we don't have those anymore. What we should do is do the same thing, but for these other deals. So preview, cuts. Just what I'm calling cutaways. These are 2D buffers. Or bit fields. Oh my god, Nix. What are you talking about? Alright, so the cuts. Halls. The cuts, the halls. The cuts and the halls need to be put. Maybe the seals? No, the seals would be coming from the other side. Right. So we want halls, though. We do want to. This is. All right, let me get errand ready here. Oh, they're about to do some lifting. We're going to start this. We're going to queue this right up while I finish up this work. Looks like they're doing some lifting. They're a Godot dev. They're pretty cool. Ooh. The channel is intended for mature audiences. So no childish jokes. This is a mature streamer we're going to be rating with a mature community of serious-minded people. I know. Ah, poop, says Scotty. Well, this was your choice. So here we go. Appreciate everyone hanging out today. Yeah, I'm sorry we got to cut things short today. The next few days should be our regular 3-hour streams. We should be able to do the whole thing. Thanks for the hydrate, Nix. Do I have any coffee left?
Maximum warp.
Got a little bit. Thanks for the stream. See you all later. Yeah, thank you, Rhiannon Journey. I saw your 65 stream streak. Killing it as always. Yeah, I will finish this little bit of a refactor here,
Maximum
switching to bit masks. We'll see if I do anything more fancy than that. But yeah, we'll be back tomorrow.
Your logic was impeccable, Captain.
We'll keep it up. We'll keep it going. I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Thank you all so much for watching. And I'll see you all next time. Bye.